I just started it. Go ahead.
Thanks, Em. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our HeatSmart presentation. Sorry about the little technical difficulties there. Glad you all got onto the Zoom now. My name is Star, and I'm an Energy Corps intern with the Network for a Sustainable Tomorrow. On our team is Adam Flint, our Director of Clean Energy Programs, and Anna Pertel, our Sustainable Energy Coordinator. I'm also joined tonight by Jeremy, the other Energy Corps intern. So HeatSmart Southern Tier is just one of the programs that NEST has to offer. NEST is a nonprofit organization located in Binghamton that works with community partners to generate social, environmental, and economic justice and equity in the greater Binghamton area. As part of our mission, NEST strives to catalyze new initiatives as well as doing outreach and education to support the growth of a stronger and more resilient Southern Tier. As you can see here, we have many different programs such as Southern Tier Solar Works and Binghamton Community Power, but today we'll be talking about the HeatSmart Southern Tier program. So a quick overview of what we'll be covering tonight. First, what is HeatSmart Southern Tier? Then why HeatSmart might be a good option for you. Then we'll go over the HeatSmart technologies, including weatherization, home energy assessments, and the heat pump technologies. Then Jeremy will take us through incentives and financing options, as well as steps for you to participate in the program. And then we will do a short Q&A section at the end. And if you have any questions that come up during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat or just unmute during our Q&A. So first off, what is HeatSmart Southern Tier? This program is one of the several NYSERDA campaigns that connects the public with local experts who offer clean energy technologies. NYSERDA is supporting communities across New York State and implementing community-based outreach and education programs for clean heating and cooling. HeatSmart Southern Tier works specifically to educate the local community on sustainable heating and cooling through webinars like this and tabling events. As you can see at the bottom of this map, HeatSmart Southern Tier operates in Broome, Tioga, Shenango, and Delaware counties. Next slide. So let's take a look at where we stand now. This diagram shows the primary sources of greenhouse gas emissions in New York State. And as it turns out, heating and cooling buildings is close to the leading cause as it produces 30% of our greenhouse gases. It's our aim to reduce this proportion by promoting and enabling people to switch off of fossil fuels and onto more efficient clean energy technologies. Some of the biggest draws to participating in the HeatSmart Southern Tier program are the individual benefits, such as reducing your energy costs and increasing your home comfort and safety. You can also make a positive contribution to your local and broader global communities by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting more awareness about the importance of clean energy. The technologies that we promote mainly deal with weatherization and heat pumps. The goal of weatherization, such as insulation and air sealing, is to protect your home from the outside elements in order to maximize energy efficiency. Heat pumps are technologies that provide renewable and efficient energy that you can use for heating and cooling your home. The kinds that our program focuses on are ground source, air source, and heat pump water heaters. Now I will introduce our installer partners. HeatSmart Southern Tier partners with competitively selected and NYSERDA approved installers to implement the technologies that I just mentioned. For air source heat pumps, we partner with Air Source LLC, as well as NP Environmental for Delaware County. For ground source heat pumps, we partner with Daily Geothermal, and once again, NP Environmental. NP Environmental takes care of our Delaware County residents, which many of you are here tonight. And Kevin from NP is also with us on this call and will be available to answer some questions in our Q&A. For home performance and efficiency, we partner with the Insulation Man, and Jess is also joining us here from the Insulation Man tonight and will be around for the Q&A. And for Delaware County folks, we are currently in the process of finding a new partner, but we'll be sure to keep you all updated and send you their information once we've solidified a partnership. As we discuss our program tonight, keep in mind that it's good to start this process early and get in touch with installers earlier rather than later, as wait times for installations have been increasing recently. You can start this process by filling out the form on our website, but Jeremy will cover that a bit later as well. The first step, if you were to go through our HeatSmart program, is weatherization. Weatherization is the practice of protecting a building and its interior from the elements, such as sun, wind, or rain, and modifying a building to reduce energy consumption while optimizing energy efficiency. If you were to get a heat pump installed, it's important to first ensure that your home is properly insulated. These heat pumps work most efficiently in properly insulated homes. There are many benefits of weatherization, including increasing home safety as well as improving home comfort. If your home is properly weatherized, it will reduce drafts, improve humidity control, improve indoor air quality, and reduce the risk of ice dams. And possibly most importantly, weatherization will help reduce energy consumption and costs. With a tightly sealed home, there's a lower chance that any heat will leak out of your home and that unwanted cool air will infiltrate your home. Overall, weatherization makes your home more comfortable to live in and more energy efficient. This graphic helps show why having a properly insulated home is key to energy efficiency. Leaks will tend to occur in areas of a home where insulation is lacking, which is why having a tighter seal around your home will save you from using and spending more on energy. The arrows throughout this house depict the most common places where there is air leakage. Warm air often leaks out of your home through ducts and spaces in your attic, as you can see by the red arrows on this diagram. And outdoor air can also leak into your home through vents and spaces in your basement, as shown through the blue arrows. Weatherization combats these issues of air leakage. If you have concerns about temperature regulation, ventilation, air quality, or dealing with moisture problems, it might be a good idea to look into weatherizing your home. And now we will move on to heat pump technology. Heat pumps are an alternative system for heating and cooling your home. While traditional systems use fossil fuels, heat pumps use electricity and offer a more sustainable way to heat and cool your home. So you might be wondering how a heat pump works. This graphic provides a visual of how air flows through this type of a system. And if you have a refrigerator or an air conditioner, you already have this type of technology in your home. There's heat all around us in the air and in the ground, even in the winter. And heat pumps transfer heat into a space or out of it instead of burning fossil fuels to produce heat. There are three types of heat pumps that we'll cover tonight: ground source, air source, and water heaters. Ground source heat pumps, as well as heat pump water heaters, can be used to heat domestic hot water. Ground source heat pumps are also known as geothermal. About 6 feet below the ground is a very stable temperature. Geothermal systems circulate fluid in pipes below the ground, and this transfers the warm energy from the ground into this fluid. Heat is then concentrated through electricity and compression and then circulated through your home. During the warmer months, it works in reverse, transferring the warm air back into the warm air in your home back into the ground. As you can see, there are two different types of closed loop ground source heat pumps. There are horizontal loops and vertical loops, with horizontal being more common as it's more affordable to install. This is because the coils are closer to the surface and require less digging. To know what type is best for you and your home, it's important to get an energy assessment first. There are many benefits of ground source heat pumps, including the positive effect on the environment, your energy bill, and your home. The system is very efficient in heating and cooling your home, which means lower energy bills. It's long lasting, it removes fossil fuels from your home, and it can heat hot water in addition to heating your home. The other type of heat pumps are air source heat pumps, which work similarly to ground source, but they take heat from the air and pump it into your home. These are typically a ductless system and do not require underground pipes like the ground source heat pump. This allows for easy and quick installation. Air source systems consist of one outdoor unit, which is linked to one or more units inside your home. These units come in various different styles, as you can see above, to fit different aesthetics and cost preferences. They operate similar to an air conditioning unit, however, they can also run in reverse to provide heat. Similar to ground source heat pumps, air source heat pumps allow for energy savings. Air source heat pumps are also very flexible because you do not need to replace your entire heating system if you don't want to. Allowing for zone control in your home, you can get just 1 or 2 heat pumps and use them for just a couple rooms. This can allow you to have air conditioning without ductwork and to maintain different temperatures in different rooms in your home. You can also get a full heating system replacement if you would like, but it's not necessary. Lastly, these heat pumps are known to be very quiet. The last technology that we will cover tonight is heat pump water heaters. The heat pump technology that we've been discussing can also be used to heat water. Heat pump water heaters are basically an electric water heater with an air source heat pump on top. They use indoor air to heat the water and usually have a backup system to meet higher demands. Similarly to heat pumps, the main benefit of using this kind of system is higher efficiency. While a typical electric water heater uses electricity to heat the water, a heat pump water heater uses hot air that is already around the unit to heat the water, which reduces the amount of electricity that is needed for heating. Heat pump water heaters also provide dehumidification benefits. And now I will pass it along to Jeremy to talk to you about incentives and financing options.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and in this part of the presentation, I'll be going over the incentives and financing options that are available to you when you start a HeatSmart project. In this section, we'll be showing you a few different tables like this one, which have a ton of information, but I just wanted to mention that we'll be sharing these slides after the presentation, so don't worry about trying to memorize them as we go along. To get right into it, NYSEG and RGE customers are offered a variety of residential incentives to make heat pumps more affordable. As you can see, this is a pretty big table, but there are various types of rebates available for each type of technology, and the rebates are offered per unit or per heating capacity. For air and ground source heat pumps, incentives can range from the low thousands to as much as $10,000, depending on your system. For water heaters, depending on the type you use, it can range from $100 to $1,000. Some relevant information to understand with these incentives is that generally they vary based on the size of your home and the size of your project. There are also tax credits available to you, in addition to the previously mentioned rebates. For ground source heat pumps, there's a 26% federal tax credit and a $300 tax credit for heat pump water heaters. In addition, New York State recently implemented a new tax credit for ground source heat pumps of 25%, up to $5,000 of installation costs. I should also mention that at the beginning of next year, the federal tax credit will be slightly lowered to 22%, so it's best to start one of these projects as soon as possible if you'd like to take full advantage of the current federal tax credits that are offered. There are also many financing options when it comes to these projects. NYSERDA offers 3 different loan options. The first is a smart energy loan, which you are qualified for up to $25,000 in terms of either 5, 10, or 15 years, with an interest rate of 3.49 or 6.99%. Another option is the on-bill recovery loan, which has the same conditions as a smart energy loan, except it's paid in your utility bill over time. Lastly, there is the companion loan of up to $25,000 in terms of 5, 10, or 15 years under 6.99% interest. And this loan can be added onto one of the previous 2 loans if you needed extra funding or if you just had a larger project. A couple other options could be financing through a specific heat pump manufacturer or securing a loan through your local bank if you get more competitive interest rates. Also, I should mention that the interest rates offered are dependent on your income, so people with lower income will be able to receive lower interest rates. Our installer partners also have 0 interest loans on a time-limited period, which they'll be able to tell you more about as you move forward with the process. So in terms of income eligible programs, through Energy Star, there are home performance and heat pump incentives. This provides those who meet the income requirements as seen in the table with a discount of 50% off project costs. The discount goes up to $5,000 for single family homes and $10,000 for 2 to 4 multifamily homes. And this includes heat pumps. And lastly, through Empower New York, there are certain income eligible incentives as well. These incentives are available to homeowners under 60% of the state median which is shown in the table to the right, that also paid their utility bills. If you are HEAP eligible, you can get up to $20,000 off full project costs, while non-HEAP eligible projects can get up to $10,000 off. And these also include heat pumps. So in terms of home energy audit incentives, a residential energy audit from an installer is free, although this does not include any diagnostic testing or tools. A full energy audit, on the other hand, does include diagnostics, but market rate customers must pay a fee for this service. Low to moderate income customers can get this service for free under the condition that they fill out a joint application with an installer and have an energy efficiency or heat pump project completed. So if you're interested in anything that was discussed in this webinar, including weatherization or heat pumps, here's the process to get you started. First, you would sign up for a home energy assessment and or site assessment from one of our installers. After that, you'd receive a quote for energy improvement. Then you would sign a contract for the desired systems you would like, and then you would apply for incentives and financing. Finally, you would complete the installation work. To sign up for any site assessments, you can visit our website, nynest.org, and fill out a form telling us what you were looking for, and that will get the process started. So that concludes our HeatSmart Delaware presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be passing it over to our Director of Clean Energy Programs, Adam Flint. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. So we'll move now to questions. And I saw a question in the chat from Wayne Marshfield. And I was actually going to call on Kevin Sedgett to take a crack at that first. I did put a link in the chat that I can talk about after he speaks, which is a little bit more general than the question is asking. Kevin, are you on the air?
Hey, Adam. Yeah, I'm here. I was just typing out. I saw that you messaged me on Wayne's question there. As far as savings, of course, every system is going to be different, so it's hard to really quantify in general terms. I guess I could say that with today's oil prices, you would likely be seeing over 50% savings, but it would really come down to the specific system in terms of dollars. Over 50% is common now.
Just to expand a little bit, again, what I would say about these kinds of questions is the best way to get a decent answer is to get an assessment. There are a number of factors to take into account. Wayne had mentioned today's prices. We're obviously seeing spikes in all forms of energy prices. According to the NYSERDA dashboard, the current price for number 2 heating oil in our region is $5.64 a gallon, and electricity, I actually don't have a current number here, but it obviously went up quite a bit in January and February. It's come down a little bit since then. In terms of some of the factors that figure into the amount of savings, the size of the home is certainly a factor, how cold it is where you are. But two very important pieces. One is how energy efficient is your home, right? If you have a very well insulated home, that's going to actually make the heat pump savings greater. And also how you use your home, how much hot water you use and so forth. But all things being equal, there is going to be saving. But it's hard to give specific numbers that are applicable to more than an average, if you will. I also want to call on Jess, and Wayne, we'll get back to that question there. Jess, did you want to respond to that? I noticed you messaged me in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, if you can give me a second, I can actually log on remotely to my work computer and I can pull up like a general idea of one of our pilot customers who had gone through, who uses oil based on the numbers that were run through that were approved by NYSERDA. So if you can give me just a couple minutes, I can do that.
All right, well, while you're doing that, quick question. Will you want to share your screen, when you do get that up, Jess? We'll come back to that. So Wayne, in answer to your question, yes, you start at nynest.org. The enrollment form will collect the usual information about, how to reach you and whatnot. And then you check the boxes for the technology or technologies you're interested in. So if you're not sure whether you want air source or ground source and you want to get, well, actually in Delaware County, it's all NP anyway. So you can check them both and it will be the same company coming in. And we'll send that right over to Kevin, and he'll get on the phone and set up a time to come out to your place. While we're
Thank
waiting for Jess to log, oh, go ahead, please.
No, I just said thank you.
Oh, thank you, Wen. Other questions? Don't be shy. Anything you've always wanted to know about your home's energy systems? We have a quiet group with us today. While we're waiting for Jess to come up, Kevin, maybe you could talk a little bit about what's involved in getting an assessment for either air source or ground source heat pumps when you or another person come out to the house.
Yeah, sure thing. So our process that you would see once you get set up with Nest and you get passed over to us, you would have an initial conversation with Trisha at our office, who's going to get some upfront details from you. And she's going to then determine whether you're best suited to work with myself or with Nick, the other field engineer, and actually the owner of the company with NP. From there, we're going to do a follow-up call with you, review the upfront details that were collected, look at the calendar, set a time, set a schedule, come out, do the assessment. The assessment typically takes about an hour and a half, sometimes a little bit less for a straightforward air source, sometimes a little bit more if there's some complexities for like a geothermal assessment. Hour and a half is average. I'm going to be basically looking for two things. The first is going to be all the details I need to run a manual J heat load calculation to size the equipment. So that's going to be your insulation, your windows, your doors, the walls, the ceilings, the floors. Going to take a look at the mechanicals, what kind of heating system you already have in place. And and then that's kind of rolling over into the point number 2 that I look for when I'm out there. And that is configuration variables, anything that's going to, pull on the price of the system. If you have existing ductwork that we're looking to use, if we're installing new ductwork, if it's a geothermal, is it a vertical well, a horizontal well, square footages of things, input from yourself, of course. If we're looking at a ductless air source heat pump system, I want to know, hey, what are your priority rooms, to best kind of condition the house. Maybe we don't have to necessarily pick the exact spot on the wall that we go now, but I want to know, what's your master bedroom that you're in every single night? What's the guest bedroom that maybe you don't necessarily need a unit in? Looking at things like that. So that's our process from there. We've got a week or 2 turnaround time for it to go through our preliminary engineering, and then back to myself to write up a quote and send it over. Follow up with a phone call to review any questions, and look to hear back from you if we're moving forward with a project or not. Hopefully we are, at which point we do a follow-up meeting, contract, and some more detailed planning on the project. So that's and then from there you're on the schedule. Equipment is ordered well in advance with current supply chains, and it's just a matter of the schedule catching up with us to do the install.
And if the customer is going to be financing, I assume that you talk about that prior to the contract phase.
Yeah. Yep. We would absolutely, we'd probably ask that up front, actually. Trisha would likely even ask you that in the first phone call. Of course, you don't, not everyone's going to know for sure until they get the quoted price. But yes, we offer financing in many different ways. And that would all be handled and settled throughout the process.
Great. So I see another question from Wayne asking, is income for eligibility of incentives based on owner's income or the tenants? So if you are a landlord and you have tenants in the unit that qualify for either Empower or assisted home performance, their income can be used for that purpose. And so the income verification is actually done by NYSERDA's finance company. So it's not like your tenant needs to hand over a tax return to you or anything like that. And so obviously as the owner of the property, you have to agree to the measures that are carried out. But yes, you can use the income of tenants to qualify for those programs. I do want to mention one other thing. It was mentioned earlier in our presentation that we're still seeking an insulation contractor for most of Delaware County. We are close to that, we hope, but I'll just simply say that if you're interested in getting a heat pump as well as insulation, then Kevin and NP can help you. If you are interested only in getting insulation and air sealing, we do not yet have a partner. And under those circumstances, if you're interested, you can sign up on our site at any time. Let us know that's what you want, and we'll get back to you as soon as we've got a partner. It is, of course, possible for you to go on NYSERDA's website and try to find somebody. It's not a lot of people working, frankly, in that sort of Catskill region. So we're confident we'll be able to find somebody, but I just wanted to be upfront about that. I think Jess is back and ready to tell us about the case she had in mind. Jess, do you want to share your screen, or is that not needed? I can do either one.
I think I can actually turn my camera around. So let me just change my view here.
We're going to get decent resolution that way?
I hope so.
Because we could do a screen share if you want to do that. Meanwhile, so Wayne is asking all the right questions. Rural electric customers eligible for this program, not for the NYSEG incentives. There is, in fact, an incentive available for municipal power customers. We did contact them, and they let us to understand that co-ops can join their consortium, but that Delaware was not part of it. We actually have a call into Delaware to try to find out, A, do they have some program they already belong to? B, are they interested in joining this Muni Association program? So right now, what we do know is that if you are a Delaware Electric Cooperative customer, you cannot get the NYSEG incentive, that's for sure. We're looking in to see if there is an incentive available for you as a co-op member. That would yet, you could sign up and basically say, I need to know this before I do anything. If there are some incentives, or you're just curious about incentives, you can message us about that. We'll be sure to get back to you. And I'll simply say too, the complexity of these incentives are not ideal. It's where we are right now. We're working closely with the state, and I'm hoping that within the next year we're going to see some changes, but there are no guarantees. And I will just echo what's been said before, that because of supply chain issues, and also the fact that an awful lot of people have been wanting to do improvements on their buildings since the pandemic, it behooves you to move sooner rather than later if you want to get something done. Also, the 26% federal tax credit will drop to 22% on January 1st. If you sign a contract before then, the work doesn't have to be completed before then. I think there is a time limit, but you can lock that in by signing a contract before the end of the year for at least 6 months, I think, maybe longer. So Jess, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I think so. Can you see my tablet screen?
Not really.
No.
Yeah,
may be, it may,
I mean, I can see the
okay.
screen, but it's not big enough to actually see what's going on there.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I mean, I'm on my personal device and not my work computer, so it's kind of hard for me to do the screen share. I can just run it down for you. The particular customer that I'm looking at, we had a total job approved for her for $19,900, and that includes the insulation and the heat pump. Um, we did her entire house as far as insulation. That's her walls, her rim joists, her attic. Did all of the air sealing. Made sure both her bath fan and her dryer were vented out. She got all of the electric reduction stuff, which is LEDs and a combo detector. Anybody who is eligible for the Empower program, that is automatically included in your job. And we usually try to do that from the first time we come out there and do a site assessment. And then the heat pump on top of that. They estimated, based on everything that we were doing and her annual usage between electric and her oil, that she was going to save about $3,200 a year annually because she was no longer going to need the oil. So, you know, and I've seen them, you know, a little bit lower, anywhere down to like, you know, 2,500. I've seen them, you know, at well over where it's, you know, closer to the $4,000 range. So it all depends on where your house is at right now, the type of systems that are already installed in your house, as far as your thermal system and your existing HVAC system, and what we can do to improve it. Each area will generate its own amount of savings, just having that thermal envelope tightened up. But once you add the heat pumps on top of it, that's when your savings is really going to skyrocket, because you're not so dependent on oil. I know a lot of the classes I've been in lately, they use a general kilowatt cost of 22 cents a kilowatt hour. I know that NICEAG kind of fluctuates from that, but they said roundabout, that's right about where it is here in New York. So when you equal out, you know, an average, say, you know, 25 cents right now, because I know NICEAG has gone up, and then you take out that propane bill, you know, there's a drastic difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I'll just mention that New York is a very diverse state. Electricity rates are averaging around 20 because the Long Island rates in particular, but also Con Ed, are very high. Before the war started in Ukraine, our kilowatt hour price was like 7 or 8. I don't honestly know how high it got, but nowhere near 20 cents. I can talk a little bit too about my own experience, although it's a little bit old at this point. I got work from the insulation man back before the current folks were there, from the original owner. And I got a heat pump, a ground source heat pump put in. This was about 11 years ago. And I got the heat pump put in 2008. And at the time, oil prices went up to $4.10 a gallon, which historically is very high. I see they're now $1 and change higher than that, which is extremely scary to me. And so, you know, when I thought about doing this, it was clear that heating my house as it was just unaffordable. I have a 100-foot square foot house. You know, I did have to take out a substantial loan. The cost of the Geosystem by today's prices is low, but it was $24,000. And at that time, the only incentive was the 30% at that time tax credit. But basically, for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I actually kept track of savings based on the price of number 2 heating oil at the time. The worst my savings ever were in a given year was $750. The first year it was like $2,500 because the prices of oil stayed really high. I basically stopped looking at my year-to-year savings after that. So I know often people will talk about payback. I get that, but quite honestly, if my operating, you know, year-to-year, month-to-month costs are dropping, you know, close to $1,000 or more, That's a big consideration. And, obviously I don't have to worry about oil delivery. I don't have to worry about oil leaks. There's nothing burning in my house. So there's other advantages as well. So, Wayne has been carrying all the water thus far in terms of asking questions. I'm hoping other folks might be curious about, maybe hearing more about the technologies or the financing, or really any question you have about energy related to your home or your business.
Yes, actually, I have a question. This is Andy Cahill.
Thank you. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I'm interested in getting the mini splits. Is that what we're talking about at all?
Yeah, so mini split and air source heat pump are the same thing.
Okay,
So yes, yeah, we're talking about air source and ground source heat pumps, and mini splits are air source heat pumps.
got it. Okay, so with my oil company has told me they are now an approved installer for mini splits, and
Which
it's one of
is
those things.
Which company is it?
Botini.
Okay, I don't know them, but please continue.
I live in the southern tier part of the state, over in Margaretville, and
Gotcha.
they're very prevalent over here. Botini, not mini splits. But I wanted to know, are there the NYSERDA grants or refunds or rebates or anything that go to the customer and not to the installer?
So the short answer to that is no. In terms of the if they are eligible, actually, first question, Andy, are you a NYSEG customer?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so then you would be eligible for the NYSEG incentives.
Right.
The company, so you would need to be sure that they did, and they're saying that they're eligible through NYSERDA and through NYSEG to work for those incentives. And you're totally free to get estimates from anyone you like. The reason why we do these partnerships is we vet or review various information about the companies that we partner with, but you are in no way required to partner with them. However, we aren't in a position to really support you through the process with a company that we're not in contact with NP and with the Installation Man. We are able to find out, how things are going. You can contact us. We can talk with the company and whatnot. So that's an advantage, a couple of advantages of working through us. That being said, we have had, there was a client in Binghamton that went with a different company. We're getting some feedback here. AJ Leto and Sons, and it worked out pretty well for them for air source. So, you're free to do anything you like in that regard. Just be a good idea to make sure that they are indeed qualified to receive those incentives. As far as the tax incentive is concerned, you'd want to check with your accountant or whoever does your taxes. And if you think you might be eligible for any of the income eligible programs, that it also requires, NYSERDA requires that the company is qualified to do that. So it's two separate things. One is that they are eligible for the NYSEG rebates. A separate thing is, are they an Empower installer? And I'll say too, the NP has done a lot of these installs. I don't know how many the company you referred to has done. And I think, Kevin, are you guys a Diamond dealer for Mitsubishi?
Yes, we're a Diamond installer with Mitsubishi. We're also offering LG now. I think I've mentioned in some of our meetings, but yeah, so either one we've got experience with.
So I understand that, if you have a relationship with a company, you're comfortable with them. So, you could always get two assessments and make a decision.
Well, I guess here's my very blunt question. Why do I care if they get an incentive?
Because it reduces the cost to you.
Ah, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah.
So they pass that on.
Oh yeah. No, the incentives. Yeah, the basic idea here is that we're still in a process of transitioning from conventional heating systems to heat pumps. And so because we don't have as many units being installed and other factors, the heat pumps themselves still cost more than the conventional systems. As we install more and more of these things, the prices are going to come down. Eventually, we won't need the incentives, but right now we do. And so in order that customers can afford them, these programs have to exist.
And where can I find out what the actual programs are? NYSERDA?
Well, that information is on the NYSERDA website, but it's also available on our website.
Okay.
And you know, we will make available to you the recording and the deck that talks about the programs in question. So the second part of the presentation that Jeremy did, he ran through all the programs. So there was the NYSEG incentive and the tax credits, as well as the assisted home performance and Empower programs. If you want all of the details about those programs, we could send that to you. You could find it on the NYSERDA website. In the case of Empower, for the NYSEG incentive, that information is going to be on their website.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. Any other questions? So any other information that our partners or anyone from the team would like to share before we call it a night? All right, well, I want to thank my team, Anna and Star and Jeremy, for doing a great job with the presentation. Just want to apologize again for the technical glitch, but it worked out. We had a pretty good house here. For everyone who's registered, and that includes people who didn't show up, we will be sending out an email to follow up that will provide a link to the recording to this webinar, as well as the slide deck. And again, if you're interested in starting the process to get an assessment on one or more technologies, nynest.org, and enroll there, please. And we will see to it that your information is passed to the appropriate partner. I also thank Jess and Kevin, our two partners for tonight, for showing up, and all of you for taking time. And yes, for those of you who are on social media, we're on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter and Instagram. So check us out. And there's lots going on in the energy space, including jobs. So if you're interested in that, you should reach out to us, and we can tell you about that as well. Thanks, everyone, for coming out on a beautiful Wednesday evening, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Thank you.